You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening and welcome to the Friday night pop-up show. Pop-up show, guys. I've dragged them into the... You can hear the enthusiasm dripping out of their very veins, I feel. Good evening. We have Kaz Rooney in the studio. Good evening, Kaz.
Good evening.
And we have Mr. Paul Rook in the studio. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Kerry.
So Friday night fun on the pop-up show. What's going on? Where is everybody? What's everybody up to out there? I know that Barry Guy is at the Hellfire Caves.
Very nice.
That is an amazing location.
Yeah, I've not been there, but some of our team members went there with another group. And I had to laugh because they rang me after the event and said that they were in the caves and the idea was that they were going to start singing some songs to get some, spirit activity going, which I thought, yeah, okay, fair enough. I can understand that, with it being like some sort of religious order, I expected some sort of religious song of the day.
Oh,
and I said,
don't tell me they sang like the latest pop tune.
Oh, yeah. Let It Go was one of them.
No way! What? Let it go.
Yeah,
let it go. Really?
Yeah, don't sing anymore because we'll have to pay royalties, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is true. Yeah, sorry, no music license, hashtag.
Yeah, Let It Go was one of them. Oh, it was... I couldn't stop laughing. That was hilarious.
If you're... that takes the Singapore theory to a whole new level.
It does, doesn't it?
You can imagine if there are... Right, Hellfire Caves is renowned for occult ritual and black magic and, drunken debauchery and all that kind of thing, right? So... if you're a ghost or a spirit of that kind of environment, right, and someone came in and started singing Disney tunes, what would your reaction be? I smite you with my occult fire. I mean,
exactly.
Come on.
I think it was more than just the guests that got an entertaining night that night.
I think that was just them wanting to use the acoustics of the place just for their own personal... I'm an awesome singer. It's a bit like when you sing in the shower, you sound awesome. But when you get out the shower or you record it, you think, actually, no, that's really, really bad.
Oh, it was just funny when they told me that. It was like, really?
Did they not see the humour in that?
Well, they did.
I like the way you go.
They did, but I just couldn't believe it. I was like, really?
No,
if I'm ever going there, I'm not
one,
singing.
mate. But really, of all the songs to sing, "Let It Go" is not the one that I kind of would have.
No,
gone
I mean,
with,
there was some other popular tunes, but I can't remember. It was just the Let It Go that got me so much.
Well, everybody, there's a new one for you. So let's take this a step further. If you're at a World War I base, rather than putting the old Veras on, good old Vera which is the usual, or air raid sirens, or stuff like that, you could play 21 Pilots, perhaps something by the 21 Pilots. Stressed out. Maybe. Yeah.
Something for my maiden or something,
Yeah, like
Def Leppard,
Yeah.
Run to the hills.
They'd be like, what the hell is this? Oh my God, my ears! Turn it off!
I thought the racket from the planes were bad enough, but jeez. Oh dear. The location owners would come in the morning and there'd be like loads of notices on the wall saying I'd quit.
Yeah, or the ghost saying, sorry, I'm not haunting here anymore. I just can't take it anymore. It's just getting a step too. Oh my God. Really? Let it go.
Yeah.
No, there's
She's not going to get over that.
I can't get. In fact, next time I'm out on location, I'm going to rack that song out. I'm going to take my own karaoke machine and everything, see if we get any activity. There'll probably be like loads of bangings and rapplings as if to say, "No, stop her now! She's singing."
I'll tell you what,
Jesus.
a really good location for that would be the Redoubt Fort, either in Harwich or Eastbourne.
What for the acoustics?
For
Definitely.
the acoustics, absolutely.
Oh my God! Actually, a concert, like a little mini concert, not a great big, obviously, mega like amp kind of concert.
It'd be
but
more like. Yeah, it'd be an ideal setting for the X Factor or whatever it is.
Oh, mate, the acoustics in that place are awesome because when you do, we was there one night and there was a part of the team had gone off to do a session, like an EVP session. Well, we were in the hub room, in the tea room, and like we were just talking. We weren't like even being that noisy. Well, I say we weren't being that noisy. We probably were being quite noisy. But we kind of had the door shut and we didn't think, and this was very early investigation days, we weren't really considering the acoustic factor in that particular location because Fort Redoubt is round.
Yeah.
And it is like pure amphitheatre. Everything gets amplified, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
So, of course, we're in the hub room and we're sort of like laughing and joking and taking the mickey out of each other as we do, as normal. In case you hadn't noticed on Parasearch, that's what we do. And they really moaned because we were interfering with their EVP session, and we just didn't even realise that would be a factor because,
Yeah.
And I get that, but now, at the time, I was like, oh, God, they're being a bit arsey, aren't they? But now, I get that completely because, I investigate differently now. But that was sort of in my fun days of investigating. And But yeah, they got really arsey because sound carried so in a funny kind of way in that location. So we ended up coming to the conclusion that you can't count any EVPs or you have to be really careful with that kind of thing because it could be, you could be in a stairway the other side of their fort and just said something in a normal voice. Excuse me, to somebody, and then it's been picked up right on the other side of the fort, but just purely and simply because of the acoustics in the location. God.
Yeah, that sort of place is one that you want to do in a very small group.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3, 4 at a push. you don't want too many.
No, you can't really have too many in that location. As I say, we fell foul of that a few times in that location. But great location, but you do have to keep it really small.
When I first went to the Harwich Redoubt Fort, it was really odd, really. We was there with another paranormal team. So because you've got all the rooms are in a circle, we said that one team would go one way round the circle, the other team the other side. And we started at opposite ends as well, so we just go around in a big circle, basically, each room. We got to the room, we called it the crest room because there's a big crest above the door.
Yeah.
And we pushed the door to go in, but it wouldn't move. we couldn't get in. So we thought maybe the other team had locked it. So we went around the side because there's a side door to it as well. Mm-hmm. And that too was locked or shut. So we couldn't open the door just by pushing it open like all the other doors. So we went back to the other group and said, did you lock the doors? Because if you have, we want to get the keys so we can go in it. Mm-hmm. And he said, no, you should just be able to push it and it's open. And I was like, no. We had to physically kick both doors in. Not to the point where they're off the hinges. It was just
really, disclaimer going on right now.
Exactly. Really
no damage was caused to location or door while in the making of this video.
It was literally the door was wedged in the frame. But as soon as we was in there, we shut the door behind us, and that door would not shut. It kept opening.
Really?
Yeah, really.
It's a weird place.
It is. It's really strange, and the only thing we could, think of is either the spirit that was in there didn't want us in there, or just wanted us to have all our attention on that one room.
Ooh. Yeah. Did you get any activity whilst you was in the room?
We got a few like knocking, tapping noises, but again, that really could have been anything. I mean, the whole group of about 10 people were in there at the time, so it could have been any one of us. It's
one of those.
Track, yeah. But it was still interesting, and I've gone back since and had the same sort of activity going on. But yeah, is it paranormal? I don't know.
We never know.
You'd have to keep going back and thoroughly research it and investigate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've only been back about 2 or 3 times, so. But
it's only 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it's still a nice location, easy location. And it's quite cheap as well for investigators to go in.
It is a good cost, Harwich, I have to say. It's not a bad cost for a small team to take on. Yeah. And this is like quite a problem in the field, isn't it? Is cost of some of these locations. Yeah. They outprice the small teams going in. They are geared purely and simply for event teams.
Yeah, I really don't know how they can justify the amount of money. I mean, for one person, you could go into a location during the day for what? Tenner? Mm-hmm. Between 5 and 10 quid.
Yeah.
But because it's of a night time, they charge like £800 and up.
True.
And it's like, we don't want the electricity on, so it can't be the electricity bill. I mean, okay, they might have to have one member of staff to be paid, but what's that, 40, 60 quid?
Yeah.
My time overnight is a lot more than that, baby. Sorry.
I mean, if they said to him, we'd do a shift for you double time, I mean, that's still only 100 quid, roughly.
Yeah.
It's... And then they get £700 profit. It's like, how can you justify that? It's ridiculous.
It does seem a little extortionate at times, I will say that. Depends on the location.
Trading, I'm going to make some phone calls to Trading Standards, I think.
Oh, God. Off we go. And off we go on a little personal vendetta about things. But no, it's...
I mean,
and that's just a whole load of locations we can't get into after Paul Folks Trading
I was going to say, that's just wiped off like half the UK locations.
There's one location I know for a fact charges 1,500 quid. And it's like you want one member of staff and the lights off for the whole night. What justifies that much money?
£1,500?
£1,500.
And how many people, just out of curiosity, could you have on that location?
I think it was limited to 30, but that's so not the point. If I wanted to do an investigation there just for my team, or a select few of my team, I'd still have to pay that 1,500 quid.
So if you had the full 30, that's still 50 quid a head. That's without making a profit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's still quite extortionate, really, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the most I've been quoted is £6,000, so it's not...
What?
So...
Sorry, I'm just having a moment there. Like £6,000 for a night.
£6,000, yeah, £6,000 for one night.
And how big was that location? I'd hope it was like...
it was massive. It was a massive location.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Well,
it's still not the point, though. We're still talking about one member of staff for the night and all the lights off. So we're not using electricity or nothing.
Right. No, but I suppose they've got to cover insurance costs and stuff like that.
To put this in perspective for you,
okay,
Waverley Hills Sanitarium
Yeah.
is $1,000 for the night.
Yeah.
Really?
Really?
So what's that, about 800, 900?
Yeah.
Yeah, about $850.
You would not
I
mind
would have
paying
said.
that for Waverley Hills.
No, but
No,
then that's...
and because that is huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely enormous.
Exactly.
You could lose teams in that place.
Exactly.
In fact, there are a few teams I would... No, I'm not going to go there. All right, maybe not teams, people. I would...
There was one... There's quite a few locations in the US that I want to do. And,
God, the US is just like...
one of them was actually mentioned on the show the other night, Alcatraz.
Yeah.
That's one that I would love to go to, but I've actually been in contact with the people who run Alcatraz, and they won't let anyone do an overnight event on Alcatraz, no matter what the event is.
Why?
Yeah.
Because it's protected. It's like we've got the RSPB over here,
Yeah.
Protection of Birds. It's their equivalent over there.
Oh, okay.
It's a protected island, apparently. So
Like penguins there or something.
yeah, I don't know, but you can go in. You can go in during the day and do tours and stuff, but they won't allow anything overnight.
I
Sadly.
know Penny's been there during the day,
Yeah.
like on a tour thing.
So is Tracy from Lancashire Paranormal. She's been as well.
Has she?
And she's been to death row. She's been to death row.
Well, my
Tracy
friend
from
was doing a criminology degree, and she went to death row. And I was talking to her, and she said it's one of those really weird feelings when you go to somewhere like that. I love the can opener. It's Friday night, everybody. You're going to hear cans opening and bottles pouring. Is all I'm going to say. Yeah, she went to death row as part of her degree, and she said it has got a really strange atmosphere on death row. She goes, I mean, apart from the fact that you've got people that are awaiting death, they know it's imminent, but it's like that. That's always a fascinating concept. Let's talk about that. So if you knew your point of death, so if you had that foresight, I mean, we talked about Nostradamus the other week, didn't we? When we talked about the number 13. No? What was we talking about?
Scrying.
Scrying. That's right. I knew we talked about it recently. When we were talking about scrying, we talked about Nostradamus. Now, he predicted allegedly his exact time of death, didn't he? And the day he was going to die and everything. Right. So if you knew that about yourself, would that change anything in your life?
No.
Probably not.
There's actually a well-known British medium who's predicted his own death as well.
Who's that?
Derek Okora.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know he'd done that.
He says he's going to die when he's 83 years old. And I remember reading it and thinking, how can he be so sure? But I remember reading it, and he said he was going to die when he's 83 years old.
I always used to say, when I was like in my teens, I used to say things like, and this could just be like because I was drunk a lot.
Drunk never.
I know, I know it's hard to believe, everybody. But I always said I believed I would die quite young. I'm actually amazed I've managed to last to the age I am, quite frankly. But I always thought I would die quite young. But I would never be able to get I say never. I've not tried it. I don't think I'd want to know, actually.
No.
I don't think I'd want to know.
Although if you do know, then hell, let's get those credit cards racked up.
But another question I've got with the whole death row: once someone's been terminated, executed even, do you think that they actually haunt that place?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's more residual?
No, I think they probably come back to make the guards' life hell. I think that's what they'll do. Because they're not known for being nice people, or they wouldn't be on there.
Yeah, but if they, I mean, obviously they're not going to want to be there because they know they're going to be killed. But
yeah,
would they really want to come back when they're haunted? Like when they can, when they pass?
Well, this is the thing. If spirits can go to different places, right, personally, let me put it this way. Personally, if it was me and I was on death row,
Yep.
I know I'm going to be executed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm obviously not a very nice person if I'm on there. And these guards are treating me like less than human. You're damn right I'm coming back to haunt them.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want to make the most of your afterlife and go places where you were happiest and...
But with the death row people, isn't the happiest moment they've been is like in really not good circumstances?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's like you're not the. If you get to that point, I mean, I'm not an expert clearly on the death row situation, but I'm sure they don't put people in that situation unless they're like serial killers or like they've committed some heinous. No, there's.
I suppose it's just
a heinous crime. You know what I mean? So I suppose if you're that mindset, you've got that mind to do those kind of crimes.
Yeah.
Then if you are executed in that way, then your happiest time isn't at that moment because you're free. Yeah. If you're going to stay earthbound, your happiest times are when you were committing those crimes.
Yeah.
In a funny, twisted, weird kind of way. So wouldn't you then not actually haunt the death row? You would actually haunt those places, like where you lived and kept your trophies and stuff like that. I mean, there's a serial killer trait.
Yeah, I mean, I do like to think about the possible psychology of a spirit. Why would they want to be haunting a location, for example? I've seen.
Look at it this way.
Go on.
It has been proven there's been people that have been on death row and been executed and then afterwards have found out they're innocent. Do you not think they would come back? Do you not think they'd be angry and come back?
Yeah, but they
not
wouldn't
necessarily.
Why would they go back to death row? Death row had no bearing on why they were there in the first place. So surely they should be going back to the court and haunting the judge that put them into judge.
Only if they're earthbound. Once you're released from your physical body. Yeah, this is a belief system thing.
Yeah,
obviously. So there is the belief that your spirit just inhabits this like walking, talking shell. Yeah, there's this bag of muscle and water and organs. Right. So once you're released from that, if you were innocent and you were on death row and then you got executed because of a crime, you're free. Your soul becomes free. So you're now actually free from the torment of the reality of the 2D world, this world, the reality that we live in. So why would you want to become earthbound? You would want to be free from that torment. So you would want to go on and evolve your spirit and come back and either, as going forward, if you believe in reincarnation, you come back, put right the wrongs or serve that lesson in your next incarnation, which is why when we talk about soul healing from the Akashic records, that becomes quite integral in that because that's a soul hurt. I've been accused of something that I wasn't, that I didn't do. That for me would be, I hate that in my body now here and on soul. Someone accuses me or says something that I haven't done or my intention was not that really upsets me. You know what I mean? Regardless
but then you'd be
going.
You're going back to the source of that, then, aren't you?
You've got to think as well.
But you have to think of it as a soul point. If you are a spirit, you are not encased in this body and this physical realm. You've got to see it as a soul point. So if your soul is forever evolving, sorry, Kaz, carry on.
If somebody died from a trauma, and we know that people that died from traumas or whatever have come back in haunted locations, right?
Yes.
So you've got to look at it. If someone was on death row, they've been executed and then it's been found out they had nothing to do with it. That in itself is a trauma because their life has been taken away and they haven't actually done anything.
And this is why I said that it could be. So, I think it would be more logical to think of those haunted locations as residual.
No,
maybe.
I don't think necessarily.
Because it's not intelligent. Because why would it be going back to death row? I mean,
Okay.
I've seen.
So, yeah,
I've
okay,
seen
so
do
we
you know
are
what
talking
I'm
about
gonna
two
do?
different types of hauntings, then, aren't we? We're talking about a
Yeah.
residual, which is basically where we're talking about an imprint on a location from a traumatic event,
Yep.
or a soul haunting, where you make that conscious choice,
Yes. That's it.
to
That's
either
it
come
entirely.
back and haunt, or you decide that your soul will evolve and either come back to evolve on the earth plane or evolve in the spirit realm.
Another
There's two
thing.
different concepts there.
Yeah, another thing that I don't completely understand as well is graveyards. Right. I personally don't like investigating graveyards.
Okay.
Love a graveyard.
I love graveyards.
I don't see the point. When I die, I am not going to be sitting for the rest of my afterlife on top of my gravestone.
Oh,
So
no.
I'm not going to be haunting a graveyard.
No, I agree with you, but I agree with that. However, I've investigated a graveyard, and I had an occasion where we had a male spirit, and he was searching for the graveyard of his wife. Yeah,
Right.
he wanted to reconnect with his wife, but when we researched back into that after the event, his wife's grave wasn't actually in that graveyard; it was in a different graveyard. So he was forever searching for his wife within his graveyard, but he would never find her because she wasn't there.
And I suppose technically that illustrates my point.
Yeah.
Because it is going to be devoid of spirit, because they're either the bodies are basically there to rest.
But
so
doesn't that
their spirit's not going to be there.
However,
not necessarily,
because doesn't that depend on your belief system?
It doesn't depend on how you passed.
Exactly. If he passed quickly and then got buried, in that graveyard, and then was forever searching for his wife, maybe his belief system is what's holding him there, because his belief in the fact that his wife would be with him in life and death, and they didn't bury him with her, is what's actually causing him to not open up to other possibilities.
I don't think the faith has any bearing on it. It's spiritual, we're talking. And basically that's his unfinished business. So he's looking to reconnect to his wife that's actually, her body's in another graveyard. So whether he's in that graveyard or the other graveyard, he's not going to find her because her spirit isn't, it might not be looking for him.
But how close-minded is that, if you want to look at it from a spiritual perspective? If he opened his mind and actually was more... talking about spirit's open-mindedness here.
we're talking about spirit psychology. That's
oh, my God. Friday night, everybody. So if he became more open-minded and was open to the world of spirit, and rather than becoming earthbound searching for his wife and being closed-minded to other possibilities... If he was open-minded, he would recognise that his wife's spirit, regardless of where she's buried, would be up there waiting for him. She's probably sitting there going, I'm here.
Yeah, he's late.
Excuse me. Do you know what I mean? And he's like, no, you should be buried with me in my grave and I'm going to haunt the graveyard. Do you know what I mean? So his belief system is actually closed-minded him and held him as a earthbound spirit. Funny enough, same graveyard, same night, Spitfire. Heard a Spitfire fly over.
Okay.
I've actually got a good one. There's a cemetery not far from me. It's about 10 minutes, called Hyde Park. It's actually, they've got the new bit, which isn't really that new, but they've got the really old bit, and there's a church in the middle that you can't get into anymore. It's all closed off. But we were going through there, doing a session in there, and through the spirit box, we kept getting a man saying hello. And we kept asking if he wanted to speak to us, and he kept coming through saying he was murdered.
And he said it was... say murdered. Go on,
but he said...
say it again, murdered.
It was murdered. And we asked how he was murdered, and he says, you were murdered, and he says strangled, and he kept saying 6. And we kept asking him to direct us left, right, and we eventually got to a grave, and the guy... It says on it, tragically taken away from his family. And I assume it's that guy.
See, I do think,
So-
I have to say, I've
so
met
it
some
could be-
amazing people in a graveyard in the middle of the goddamn night. I will say that. When I've been investigating, 9 times out of 10, you'll bump into other people doing the same thing as you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I love a graveyard in the middle of the night.
My personal opinion is it's just too disrespectful, and I wouldn't do it.
I make sure I don't
But
tread on
as I
graves.
said, that's my opinion.
That's one thing I won't do is tread on a grave. You know, like where you're trying to walk around the grave. So I make sure that I really am careful as much as you can be in a graveyard, because obviously you're never going to not tread on somebody. You know what I mean? Because they're packed out these days, aren't they? Graveyards. They're a bit overpacked. But I mean, when obviously the marked ones, I don't just like saunter over graveyards. I can't do that. That feels disrespectful.
Yeah, but I mean, I do like to think. I do when I'm investigating somewhere, and anything happens, I always like to think, well, why is this spirit here?
Yeah.
You know, there was a picture someone showed me quite a while ago. It was taken in a historic house, so it's a big mansion type place, and they were in the attic, and they caught a mist type spirit. Phenomena, whatever you want to call it. Phenomenon. And and they claimed that it was a spirit of a knight on a horse. And to be fair, it did actually look quite realistic, and it did look like a whole. You could pick it out, that you could pick the shapes out.
But in an attic.
That is exactly what I thought. I thought, why is this knight riding his horse through the attic? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. I mean, I can understand the guy in the graveyard wandering around looking for his missus. I can understand that. And that's going to be like the exception to my rule. But
thanks.
A horse in the attic? What the hell?
I don't know.
Right,
I mean,
hang on.
It did
hold
look.
on. Okay,
hang on.
go back in the day.
If you go back and looked at the history, is there any chance before that house was there, in that attic and whatever, there was a bridge? Or something.
Well,
a hill,
again, that's
or something.
Or a hill, or a road, or something.
Something.
Yeah, that's
so now
something that
that's
I
been
did ask.
levelled. That's been levelled. They built a house. Now all of a sudden there's a horse, like a knight on a horse running through the attic, and you go, how illogical. But actually, if you look back in the day, I'm with you, Kaz. That's where your history comes in. That's where your history comes in.
Absolutely. No, apparently there wasn't anything like that, but I did ask exactly the same question.
But no.
But basing it on the whole fact of why spirits walk through walls and things like that, because obviously there could have been a door that he used.
No, I
but
get that.
Using that theory, I even said that. I said, could it have been that it was on their level, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
Was that attic really their, I don't know, horse store?
Like Treasury House, when they like a horse right through attic. Different, but I mean, like when you look at the Treasury House in York, where they had the Romans, and he only saw them from the knee up. Yeah, because the Roman road was actually that much lower. Yeah. So yes, that's where that theory comes from, isn't it? Is like
exactly, because, I did ask that question, and no, apparently it was all as it was.
I have to say, it would have to be. There would be some indicator. You'd be able to find that out quite easily. I would have thought if they'd level the hill. I don't think they'd just level hills willy nilly. These, they tend to tunnel through them rather than level them. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. I mean, first of all,
you don't know if there was a road or a bridge or.
No, that's true.
No, apparently there wasn't. But I did say to them, first question is, why is that spirit there?
Yeah.
Secondly, how did it get through the hatch?
I've now got visions of trying to get a horse up a ladder through my loft hatch. I can't even get through my loft hatch. Do you know what I mean? I know how difficult that is to get through a goddamn loft hatch. Can you imagine trying to get a horse through that? Come on, up you go. You can bend that hoof. It's unlikely.
Yeah, and I thought, maybe it's just whatever they've caught is more of a logical explanation than spirit.
Yeah.
So I'm not convinced by their photograph.
So do you think then, in regards to that sort of thing, it's a difficult one, isn't it, without being nasty? When you see something like that in a photograph, you capture something on a photograph or a video or, however you're doing it. Your mind automatically jumps to an illogical assumption.
Yeah.
It's a knight on a horse. Forget the point it's in an attic.
Well, actually looking at the photograph, you could actually pick out the body of the knight. You could pick out the head of the horse and the shoulders, but that's it. That's all that was on the frame on the photograph.
Pure pareidolia.
Absolutely. But I mean, as I said, it really did look like what they said it was. But then having thought to myself, well, why is it in the attic? Firstly, and then
like a facepalm moment.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to try and look at the logical explanations first and rule out reflections and refractions.
There's so much, particularly with the tech. I mean, I've been finding this out recently.
Yeah.
Kaz?
Do you know, there's actually an interesting story. I won't mention the TV programme. No, it isn't a bad... It isn't... I'm not... No, it isn't that one.
Okay, carry on.
I know why...
It's the other one. It's fine.
It's the other one. It's fine.
It's a well-known medium. And he was doing a TV programme. And he went to this house. And these people were having real trouble in this house. And he went through everything. And they happened to mention that when they moved in, there was a chair in the attic.
Mm.
And they went, it isn't our chair, but we can't get it down from the attic. So they all pile into this attic. And there's like this big chair that's clearly far too big to fit through the opening for the attic.
Uh-huh.
And it's got all these occult things on it.
Kind of interested now. Yeah, carry on.
And, and for love nor money, nobody can figure out how that chair was in that attic. There is no way it would fit through the loft hatch. There is no way. They had to destroy the loft hatch to get it out and take it outside.
No other opening in the loft. I mean, some old houses are... Oh.
No. Oh. Bye, Paul.
Bye, Paul. Internet crashed, obviously. So there was no other logical... Oh, and he's back.
Back.
No other logical explanation as to... Right. Some old houses have got converted, obviously, from barns and stuff. So they've got the original, grain
This
doors.
is like a council estate.
Oh, it's a council estate.
It was really strange because there was no way that chair was fitting up there.
It must have been dismantled and then put back together while it was in the loft.
No. Honestly, looking at this thing, no.
No?
No, Kerry, no.
Oh, I haven't seen the chair, so I can't judge.
This thing was solid. Absolutely solid. And it had all these weird occult carvings in it. But they said when they moved in, the chair was there. They didn't know why it was there, but they knew they couldn't get it down through the attic, so they just left it. And here, years later, they're going, can you help us, please? Because there's all this strange stuff going on in my house.
Well, talking of strange stuff happening in the house, I've had strange stuff happening in my house tonight. Well, the last 2 nights.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on a show last night. We was talking about the God Helmet, as you know.
Another present was getting it, not me.
Yeah, it's me this week.
Yeah, it's you this week.
I had... Right, now bearing in mind, I was coming and going as old Paul. Okay, so overnight, while I was in the show, I had some strange noises happening in the background, like banging, clicking.
Yeah.
More like a clicking. So logical assumption, it's a appliance of some form.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Logical assumption.
Yeah.
To the point, during the show, I take off my headphone and I go quietly and check on my appliances. I'm thinking, have I left the fridge on, or is the door open? Something's clicking. I don't know what's going on. Right, so that happened. So I come back on the show, couldn't see anything. Nothing was in the way. So that's fine. So after the show, I make all the safety, should we say, unplug everything before I go to bed because I don't want anything to happen.
Of course.
Come down in the morning, hob's on.
And none of the boys had touched it.
No, the boys were in bed asleep by the time I went to the Paramania show. I go live at midnight, so it's late. You know, they're well asleep by then. So I turned the hobs were off, and I checked all that. Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah, could you not lock them?
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I had to drop out. My sound went on my laptop.
Oh, okay.
So I couldn't hear what you're saying, so I dropped out and come back.
Okay. So no, I turned all the appliances off, unplugged them, did all the logicals because I didn't want anything happening while I was asleep. Hob was definitely off. That's one of the things I checked. Kids were asleep in bed. I got up in the morning. Ryder doesn't touch the hob in the mornings, but the hob was on. So I was like, right, okay, that's fine. Well, it's not fine because I was thinking gas pill, quite frankly. It's really kind of where I went, please leave the gas alone. I can't afford the bill. And so not a lot else happened. And then tonight, while we was on air with the Dark Mirror show, a door shut.
So have you tried doing an EVP or anything?
No.
Why
Do it
not?
in my own house. Come on.
Yeah, what if there's a spirit at Kerry's house? Let's have him on air.
Come on air.
Come
no,
on.
Let's not come on air because they'll probably come close and then. So so that leads to my discussion on. Let's move the conversation along rather swiftly. So it's been rather like, I'm like, okay,
Right,
what's going on in my house?
Here's a conversation for you, something I don't quite understand. Talking about the difference between the USA and the UK when investigating.
Yeah.
A lot of locations in the USA lock down in October, and you can't get in again until January.
Yeah.
Why is that? They're missing out. They're missing out on a lot of revenue. So why are they doing that?
Some of that's to do with weather conditions. Some of it is to do with that. Okay, depending on what part of the USA you're looking at.
Yeah.
It's when you think that I always forget distance in the USA. I kind of see it as like another UK, and it's not. So some of it's to do with weather conditions. Yeah. Some of it is to do with they also have like a convention season. They can't book people in for Love Nor Money because it's convention season. So it's like, from what my understanding. But I think most of it is to do with weather, where it's too cold to do it. It's too cold. You just can't.
Well, we go out no matter what the weather is.
Well, I still think in the UK we haven't got such an extreme season, but we do still have a season. I mean, I'm definitely a summertime girl investigator rather than a winter. I admit that freely. Do you know what I mean? But only because I know the physical conditions. If it's too cold, physically, I'm getting old. Is all I can say. Physically, it takes too much of a toll on me.
Yeah.
The last investigation I actually did was in November. It was minus temperatures. Paul was there on that one, and I literally the next day was crippled. I couldn't. My joints. Oh no, it sounds so old now. But physically, it just was not fun. And at the end of the day, no matter how I'm out there investigating, I want it to be. It's my hobby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to enjoy it, regardless of how I'm investigating, whether that's serious research investigation or whether or not that's a ghost hunt where I'm like taking people out. Yeah. I need to have that fun factor, otherwise. And I can't afford to take 2 or 3 days out because physically I'm knackered. And that's nothing to do with the paranormal hangover. That is purely and simply a physical reaction to temperature. I can't do it. So I've had to make that decision to, so I can't do that. Now, I love, Guy, you know I love a wood in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Right,
Yes,
I love doing
you do.
woods. I do love doing woods in the middle of the night.
That's why I send you out in the woods.
I know. I must sort that out. Actually, that's one I really need to sort out. But the next wood, because we're now coming into the time where I can do it, and I can do it not good as well. See, because the other thing is performance, not as in I'm performing a monkey, but I know that when it's an ambient temperature, I am more switched on mentally. I can, run a group better. Hosting, this is for an event. Whereas when it's cold, I'm just a grumpy old cow, quite frankly, and that's not fun. And who wants to be in the middle of the night in the freezing cold? Very few. Nice hot summer's night. Oh, get me in a
unless the place is called Cold Christmas.
Now Cold Christmas is the place I've been meaning to get to for quite a while.
Have you not been there?
No.
I've been there so many times. It's a fantastic location.
I know, it's one place I haven't been to.
You can't get to it by road. You have to tread through farmers' fields to get to it.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
But yeah, I mean, it's not too far from the road. Just talking about a quarter of a mile, if that. But I don't think the churchyard that's there is the most haunted part. I think it's the woods behind it.
Yeah, I agree. Just remote viewing that.
Yeah, that's where we concentrated some of our events that we've done down there. And we've done them at Christmas, and people loved that.
But Christmas doesn't necessarily... Christmas, everyone's view is like 6 foot of snow with like St. Nick's with his sack.
Yeah.
Christmas is quite mild. I mean, that's why we were doing events right through to Christmas, really.
Yeah.
Because you can get some really not bad nights.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they're colder, but they're not... I mean, the one I did in November was exceptionally cold. But you can get, like, quite mild nights, even running up to Christmas. I mean, I've walked home from New Year's Eve parties in just party wear, shall we say. And it not been too bad.
Mm-hmm. To be fair, in this country, we're not supposed to be white Christmases and stuff. No. The idea of white Christmas is based on Charles Dickens' Scrooge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole idea of our white Christmases come from. But really, they're not supposed to be like that. But it's nice. But
no, you are right. It is that viewpoint, isn't it? And also, I think when there's a really famous picture, isn't there? I can't remember who painted it, but where the Thames froze over. It's an exceptionally cold year. The Thames froze over and they were skating on the Thames. They used to have markets on the Thames because it used to be so cold. But
you see that on Doctor Who, didn't you? Let's face it.
What?
You see that on Doctor Who, didn't you? That's it.
Yeah, that actually came from an actual famous painting. I would just like to add, he died. Doctor Who just didn't make that up from nowhere. Actually got that from a famous painting. I can't remember who painted it, but But they went through an exceptionally cold spell back in the, I think it was, don't quote me on this, guys, but 1700s.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I need to research that bit more. But we don't get that weather now. Well, we don't usually get that weather, but we still get minus temperatures. And when it's minus temperatures, I'm not wanting to be out there investigating. And I wear my thermals. Trust me, I am layered. I look like Michelin woman when those nights, and I'm still cold. But even on a hot summer's day, I could be wearing a cardigan because I'm cold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a reptile. Oh my God. I'm a reptilian alien. Jesus.
When it gets too cold.
Find out who the alien is. Mark.
Yeah, where's Mark when you need him? I'm a reptilian alien. Help. Shapeshifter. And all that. Just didn't even realise it. That's why I think so differently to everybody else. But no, I do feel the cold. So for me, actually, from now on, it becomes nice, what I class as a nice investigation season. And actually, there have been Halloweens where it's been quite ambient, where you could have gone out quite nicely and investigated. Yes, it's cold, but not to the point where you would get bone cold. When it gets to the point where you get bone cold, I can't do it anymore. I get issues, physical issues.
That's the thing. I went to the Ancient Ramen in November.
Yeah.
And I was wandering about, and obviously I've got my jeans on, I've got my boots on, I've got 2 t-shirts on, 2 hoodies on, a leather jacket on. When I'm inside, but the minute you go outside, you're fine.
See, that I always find strange.
It's so cold inside, but outside it kind of warms up a little bit, and we're all sitting chatting and perfectly happy, and then we go back inside and start chittering, and it's freezing, and put my gloves on, and.
But then, having said that, it depends on the facing of the house as well. Because my front room is actually north facing. It never ever gets the sun, right?
Yeah,
ever.
my room's cold.
And it's always cold.
Yeah.
So you have to take that into consideration as well.
Yeah.
And yet the back of the house is sweating because it's south.
I've done that location, Roman.
Yeah.
And I just, when I went there wasn't much activity going on.
Yeah.
We just literally blitzed the house, and then for the last hour and a half, we just sat down in the living room part of the building.
Yeah.
And just had a chat. Because
Yeah.
we were with another team, so we just blitzed the place and just done our investigation, and then just knocked it on the head because there was nothing there. After I had a row with a demon,
As you do.
as you do, yeah. Well, he wouldn't get off my board.
There's a story.
Oh, yeah. Because we were working with this other team, and it was a private event. Just the 2 teams. We took my Ouija board, and we started it off as you'd normally do. It was like, if there's any spirit here, can you come forward, communicate with us?
Yeah.
And it went to no. I was like, well, you're obviously here because you're talking to us. No. You don't want to talk to us then? No. Well, can you get off the board then? No. You don't want to talk to us though? Fuck off.
Language, Mr. Rook. My God. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and it was almost like it was disrespecting me, so I thought, well, come on in, I'll bring it on. So I had a row a bit of...
a row with a piece of wood.
Yeah.
See, now psychologists would have a field day with that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. But... No, that was it, and yeah, I finished the session anyway, much to its disliking, and then we carried on with the rest of the investigation, didn't get much, so we just knocked it on the head and had a good laugh instead.
I love those kind of nights.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it was in a fantastic building as well.
Yeah.
Just the fact that I've been there now is enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't actually think I need to go back. I mean, when I went into the witch's room,
Yep.
I could have went to sleep.
Yeah.
When I went into the bishop's room, could have went to sleep. Literally. And we were doing everything we could. We went into the bishop's room, we were playing the Lord's Prayer, we were playing hymns, we played the Lord's Prayer backwards.
Go.
We did everything and nothing was happening. I was like, right, fine. Go to sleep then.
I'm not entirely convinced that the names of the rooms are actually that accurate.
Nah,
I think it was
No, just like sensationalism names.
exactly, yeah. Just name it the witch's room, and that's enough to scare people, I think.
Actually, you know what? That's a really good idea. So from now on, everybody in your houses, you have to name your rooms. Okay.
Yeah.
So like above the front room, what would you? I would name my front room the
YouTuber's hell in my house.
YouTube hotel. Or if like Xbox.
I call them neighbours.
The portal to other realms, i.e., Xbox room.
Yeah.
Son's bedroom.
Yeah, okay,
Right.
I can see that.
Yeah, you can see that room. Oh no, I can't say that one. But do you see where I'm going with this? Oh, kitchen could be the spell room.
Cauldron
Yeah,
room.
that'd be
Yeah.
good.
The spell room where you're actually conjuring up various food. They say that cooking is like making a spell. I've never mastered that skill, just saying. But you could name each room and actually put like plaques above each room.
Yeah, that's it. And then charge paranormal teams $350.
And then charge paranormal teams £300 million to come in and investigate your house.
Yeah. Sorted.
Yeah, there we go. Business.
But they will. I was saying they will get. They'll have a field day at yours, though, Kerry.
The thing is, I've got so many, should we say, psychological triggers that would probably lead them down a whole different road.
Yeah,
that's the problem. And because of the way I work,
and claiming it's haunted, that's fine.
I wouldn't say my house is haunted, but I say there are unexplained circumstances that happen on occasion. It's not all the time because my house is so well protected that it's untrue. So it could be.
You've got to mention the word, and then that's it. It kicks off at yours.
Yeah, I know. But when I need to work with the thing that I'm working with, because I'm not allowed to mention the thing that I'm working with, when I need to, I tend to get more, should we say, activity. If someone's like, come on, work with me. And I'm like, no, I'm busy. And they're like, no, you're working with me. Or if I've done a particular working, should we say, then I might get activity. But generally, my house is very normal.
Cool.
But I know how to protect my area. I know what I'm doing with it. So, you know, that's the thing. But is it a manifestation from my own mind?
The mind's a powerful thing.
This is the thing. In my house, do you know what Olivia's like, Kerry? She's very logical and everything's black and white and there's no grey bits in between. And
the earth is flat and all that, yeah.
Seriously, she's a very smart child. She's 16. She's a very, very smart child. But she's very logical thinking.
Yeah.
So if something happens, she would be the first one to turn around and go, no, it's because of this, because of that, because of whatever. But every now and again she'll come back and say to me, this house is haunted and it's all your fault.
It's your fault, Mum. Sort that out.
But she isn't like that. She doesn't believe in the paranormal as such. But she's seen too many things happen in the house that she's got no explanation for. And she goes, oh, do you know what? This house, it's your fault. It's your fault. So
what do we think of attachments?
To what, people or objects?
People. So, like, you've got an investigation. I mean, I've had this a couple of times where I've come home and then I've had to tell them to, thanks very much, but off you go. Is it actually an attachment to you, or is it just they've come, because you've got that link?
Because I don't feel or anything. I don't see spirit. I don't communicate with them, other than what we do on events. I've been told that occasionally spirit has come back with me, but because I don't see or hear, feel anything like that, they just get bored and just go back.
Bored now.
Exactly. It's almost like they're intrigued in what we're doing and thinking, well, okay, maybe I can talk to this one, and then they come back, but then they realise, no, he's got nothing to see to us at all. It's just boring. I'm going home. But I've had some investigators on my team have issues in their own personal lives, and these spirits form a connection to that. I mean, one particular person in my team, I won't go into names, she was having some problems with a child, and we went to a location that had a nanny in that home, and the nanny picked up on the problems that she was having with the child, so she came back to spiritually help her through the issues. Mm-hmm. She lasted for a couple of months and then went. She probably quit. I did a notice.
Yeah, she was like, no, I ain't going now. far too close to home.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think if you can form a connection, or if you can see and hear spirit, it must be lonely for them at some stage.
If they want to tell their story, they've actually heard somebody that's actually prepared to listen to them. So they like you say, that's an attachment. When you get a person that's prepared to listen to your story, it creates a bond, doesn't it?
It does,
even if it's a tenuous bond.
Yeah.
Even more so with the people that are sensitive to spirit and can pick them up, because you've got that little bit more of a bond and connection with them. So you can go back with them, and then you can sit there and tell your story, and they can listen, sort of thing. And it's a two-way conversation. So from a spirit's point of view, it must be quite lonely when they're traipsing around this building and not having anyone to talk to. And then the second a medium shows up, it's like, oh yeah, I'll go home with you. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Different topic there. There's a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a choice.
Yeah, I think that's where I think connection to people in particular comes from.
But here's the thing. I mean, I moved from Scotland 9 years ago, nearly 9 years ago now, down here. All my family's in Scotland.
Yeah.
But when spirit activity happens in the house, it's kind of happening an awful lot really quickly. And over the years, I've kind of learned to see that as a kind of warning that something's about to happen. And 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what it is. Either someone's about to pass in my family that I'm not expecting, or something's going to go really freaking wrong somewhere.
Could that not just be then your spirit guides? I'm assuming you've got your spirit guides. And
this is the thing. The best EVPs I've ever caught have been in this house.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering whether or not that could be like your spirit.
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. The last one that happened.
The board.
Yeah.
The only way I communicate with spirit is through a board, and there is one particular spirit that I know of that does come forward when certain people are on the board.
Yeah.
And it is very, very accurate in everything it says. And she often gets... It's almost like she gets grounded because she breaks their rules.
Yeah.
She will see things come up. She would tell us when bad things are going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, keep an eye on my gran, for example.
Yeah.
Because something happened. And she breaks the rules. And there's often times when she's sort of banned from communicating. I do actually. I've
banned her before now too.
I don't think we're talking about the same one, but
okay.
Are you talking about Danny's one?
Yeah.
No, Danny's one.
Oh, okay. I've had to have phone words with Danny's one.
Yeah.
Before now.
No. This is another one, and she tells me when we have conversations, I like to quiz her about the afterlife and what it's really like. And some of the ideas that she comes up with are absolutely amazing. I even likened it to a computer game. You know, when you like the old-fashioned computer games when you go up levels.
Yeah.
We're on level 1. She's on level 2.
Yeah.
Level 2 communicate with level 1, but level 1's not to communicate with level 2.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But that's a very Buddha looking. But it's a very Buddha way of looking at it. A very Buddha way of looking at ascension.
And that's the way I voiced what she was saying to us. She was like, "Yeah, it is actually pretty much like that." So yeah, I've yeah. That's the only spirit I will actually sit down on the board and talk to
and have a conversation
with. See,
I don't. Of all the tools I use, spiritual tools I use, I haven't got a Ouija board.
Do you know I just bought one?
I know.
About 2.5 weeks ago. But not for me. It's because when I go and do investigations, people go, haven't you got a Ouija board? And I'm like, I don't believe in them. I think they're too easily manipulated. I think they're wide open to human error. And so I don't really believe in them. But I bought it, and my youngest has came in from school, and she's 14. She went, what's that? And I went, nothing for you. And it's in a black bag, so she can't see what it is, and it's all wrapped up. But obviously, when my back's turned, she's had a little peek. And all I heard was, Mum's got a Ouija board. Can I play with this? No.
Yeah. See, when I had one in the house, I borrowed Paul's kit to do an investigation, and a Ouija board was part of the kit. And it didn't fit in the box, so it was sat on top. And my two, because of various other things that they've seen enter my house, and if they know I'm about to do a working, the room set up and stuff like that, they're like, oh no, another demon thing. They're so ghost adventures, my kids. Mum, you bought another demon in the house? No, I haven't. You know, I yawn.
Apart from that one spirit, I everything else that comes through, I take with a pinch of salt. You know, and when I go out on investigation, 9 times out of 10, there's people here that says, "No, I don't want to do it," and I'm like, "Well, that's fine. You know, we can leave it.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. You don't have to do it. It's not a problem."
Yeah.
So you get the odd few that want to try it.
Yeah.
So I take it for them. No matter what my view on it is, I mean, even if we go to a location that is literally completely dead, I will still try the board simply because there may be spirit attached to them. And that's what I want, because if you get on the board and there's a spirit attached to them that wants to come forward, it's all information about them that I have no knowledge of. And that's what I find interesting.
Yes, there is that psychological perspective of the ideomotor effect. I have to say it right because I get told off if I don't. Still don't know if I say it right. I've got so confused with how to say that word. But it's
no offense, you get confused with a lot of words.
Oh, I do.
Alpaca Mountains.
Hospital. we could go point. Is it a pint of milk or a point of a finger? Oh, who knows? You know. Anyway, going off topic. So that I agree with you, Paul. It's not. Yes, you could look at it from a psychological perspective, but it's the answers that you get through from that, whether or not that is, you know, from a subconscious point of view or whatever. But I agree. I think the answers that you get are interesting, and that's what makes it interesting.
And I do like to keep control of my board as well.
Oh, yeah.
So when you get spirits a bit argumentative, it's my board.
Yeah.
They do as they're told why they want it.
Yeah.
If they're respectful, then they're going to get respect back.
Yeah. That's the theory of work with any spiritual work. And I would say with whether you're a medium, whether you're a healer, whether or not, you know, however you work in regards to a spiritual way, which, you know, effectively it is, you are the one in control. You know, and this is the point. Whether it's a cult, even, you know, you have to be in control of that.
Yeah.
You have to have your boundaries and your emotions well in check before you enter into those kind of things.
We had a private case come in. I think it's 15 or 16-year-old boy tried the Ouija board at home, and he brought something through, and it stayed, and it started scaring the people in the house. So we went and done a clearing.
Yeah.
But because this kid he made his own Ouija board. He used the board on his own, and he claimed it worked on his own. And I said to him, you know, like, don't do this again. And he's like, no, I'm gonna do it again because I find it so fascinating. And I said, look, at the end of the day, if you're gonna do it, let me know, and I'll come around and I'll do the board with you. Because if he's gonna do the board, I want him to do it properly. And it's a case of join them. I can't convince him to stop. He's not going.
But you have to teach him the fundamentals of opening properly, closing properly,
exactly.
having that protective space. And those are mindset things.
Yeah, and exactly. And if I'm there, I can teach him that.
Yeah, whereas if he just goes,
yeah,
let's do it,
Yeah.
and does it, you know what I mean? It's like, that's where it becomes an issue, because you're opening, I don't want to say the word portal, but you're opening
doorway.
something. You're opening something with no personal boundaries, which is where the danger is. It's not actually, whatever way you want to look at it, whether it's psychological or spiritual, there's two ways of thinking. If you're looking at it from a psychological point of view, you are not in control of that. You're just opening yourself up to your subconscious, and whatever could come out, your worst fears and thoughts could come out through that, right? That's not always good. But if you look at it from a spiritual perspective, you know, that's why you have to be in control of it. You have to be in control of yourself. And that's the key point to this. In any kind of energy work, which is what I would class as Ouija, energy work, you have to be in control of this. And, you know, as Kaz knows, some of the workings that I've done, how in control do I have to be for that?
Well, you look at it this way. I brought in that spirit board or Ouija board or whatever you want to call it 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Now, you imagine me turning around and when Alice said, can I play with this? And going, yeah, go ahead, love.
It's not a toy.
Kerry knows Alice quite well.
Yep.
She'd be trying to summon everything going. Seriously, she's you just don't mess with things you don't understand. You need to understand what you're doing.
That's exactly it. And this is why I say to people, if I can't dissuade you from using it, and you're quite adamant that you're going to do it with or without me, I would rather be there so I can then take charge of the situation. I can teach you how to do it properly, how to open it, close it, charge it, energize it, and everything else you do with it. You know, I'd rather be there and teach them that. So at least I know that they are going to be safe. And that's, I think that is the most important thing to do.
Oh, I totally agree.
Especially people that, I don't know, like your kids, Kerry. You know, you can. If one day they go.
Them. I try.
No, but
I fail.
If they both come to you and say, right, we want to try the Ouija board,
I'll do it.
Exactly. Just do it. Just teach them how to do it properly.
I know what I'm doing. That's the
exactly.
difference. I know exactly what I'm doing. But to be fair, I think I've scared the pair of them enough for life. With some of the workings that they've seen me do. I mean, I set up I've got a crystal room. I'm very blessed. I have a room where I can do all my types of working. And I was going into a specific, I hate the word ritual. So I use the word working. So I was going into it, and I'd set the room up during the day, just preparing the tools I needed and the incense blend I wanted to use and all that sort of stuff. Oh, hello, gone on the side. And so they come in from school and they're like, oh God, Mum's going to be working tonight. Do you know what I mean? And I know my little one is so intrigued. He'll creep down the stairs to watch me doing it.
Yep.
Which is, but there's a whole prep factor before I'll go into something like that. It's not just a question of, I fancy doing that, I'm going to just do it. There are times where I've done that, but 9 times out of 10, if I was going into that kind of working, there's a prep work that goes into that. And that's the bit people miss out. They just go investigating. And that's where energies start getting a bit muddled and a little bit, there's prep work that needs to be done is all I can say. And people need to get their mind set before they do that kind of work, and that's generally where issues start occurring. But, we're not infallible. I'm not infallible. I've made mistakes in that kind of work before now. I'm still correcting a mistake I made back from before Christmas, in regards to an issue that I was dealing with. But you live and learn, and that's the other thing. And because I recognise that I'm the one in control of that, that's where you can sort it. You can sort it. It's just having that mindset to do so, and doing it. That's why what you eat becomes integral, what you drink becomes integral, what you, the prep work that you do becomes integral, the knowledge. So there's research that goes into it. It's not just a question of, I'm going to do this tonight and off I go. There's work that needs to be done pre-work. And even with something as simple as, and I do class the Ouija as quite simple, really. Yeah. But there is still
it's a really useful tool. Even, when we done this private case with this child that done his board, we asked the spirit to leave, and he's like, no, because I'm feeding off the energy of this little boy. And we were like, right, we're going to give you two choices at the end of the day. You either go, or I'm going to bind you to my board, and I'm going to take you with me, and we'll get rid of you that way. And sort of blackmailing him a little bit.
How did that work out?
Actually, he decided to leave of his own accord, and then we done a cleansing, so he couldn't come back. But yeah, I'd have no problems binding him to my board, taking him into the middle of the field somewhere, and let him out there.
But again, there's that recognition that you're actually in control of this. So, psychologically, when you think like that, psychologically, that you have that mind power, you have that control, is it all psychological?
It's my way of protecting myself, because I've seen mediums do protection spells all over the country, and they all do it differently. Yeah. And what they're essentially doing is brainwashing you into believing that you're protected. My mindset is set that I'm protected and nothing negative, and it's been like this for like the last 15 years, and nothing has ever come of that.
Okay.
So it's almost like I've built up my natural protection.
Or a natural boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a line they do not cross. That's it.
But there are people that say that protection is psychological.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's the power of the mind. That's what I think it is.
And there's some people that think it's spiritual.
Yeah.
So you've got two sides of it.
I have to say, I do think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
I will say that. I think it's a bit of both in there. I do think it's a mindset thing. Mm-hmm. Nothing can touch me. I'm responsible for my own actions, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But I also, I can't not have my spiritual side, because that's how I work. So I have to have belief in my work to make it work. Obviously, that's the key point of intention.
But here's the thing, Kerry. Do you not find even if you went in and said, right, I'm going to work pragmatically and I'm going to work scientifically and I'm going to be really cold about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just because you have that spiritual side, you're still going to get stuff and you're still going to react to it.
Of course.
You can't get away from it.
No, because
if you're open to that, then you're going to get that.
You're open to it. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. But this is where we become... I mean, like I say, last night on the show, the guy, after we finished the show, he said it was really funny. He said, because I've got somebody who's spiritual being sceptical about tech. He said, and that was a flip. Yeah. He said, I didn't expect that. Because at one point, he went, well, like mediums and that. And then, like, Jay was like, you'll have to listen Monday. But it was a fascinating discussion. Yeah. But he was like, well, you don't want to talk to Kerry about that because that's kind of how I work. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm a medium, because I'm not. But, and he was like, it's really strange hearing a different perspective from somebody who works that way. And it was like, God, that was a weird thing. But that's always how I sit, because I always go to the why. Why does that? Even what I do, even with what I do, why? Why does that work? I know it works. When I put up, I've seen it manifest for other people. You know what I mean? I've seen that manifestation occur. I've done it. I've seen someone's life turn around because of work I've done. Yeah. And I know that there's no way they would have done that on their own because of their mindset at the time.
Yeah.
You know, and so you, whether they acknowledge that or not, it doesn't matter. I know the work I did to incorporate that.
What kind of interests me, though, is you says you're not a medium. Now, I say the same thing, I'm not a medium. But randomly I'll get words or places or people or things just pop into my head and they'll come out my mouth.
Yeah.
And I've seen you doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Which is basically means you're a medium.
Yeah, but I wouldn't stand up on platform and say I'm connecting with your granddad and he does this and he said that and he did this and blah, blah, blah. You know, I can't... I wouldn't want to do that. That's not something I would want to do that.
No, I wouldn't want to do that. But spiritually, when you're working spiritually, you do tend to get things the way a medium would. And you can't really escape that.
No, you can't. But I have to say, I think it's all down to how you want to work. I say, when I first started in the spiritual field, I made a point of saying to my team, and I will class them as a team, because I have more than one guide, that I would not work platform, and I would not work healing. I wouldn't do physical healing. There's the two areas I wouldn't work. Yeah. Right? In a funny kind of way, they've put me on a platform, but they've done it through radio. And in regards to physical healing, although I don't do physical healing, I provide energy tools for the people that do the healing. Yeah. So although I put those strict structures and boundaries in place with my spirit team, they kind of have me working in that way. So
they have you doing it in a roundabout way.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So it is strange how things have evolved, you know, but even that is evolving again, and I don't quite know where that journey is taking me, but I know it's evolving to a different level completely from the way I'm working, which is why my business, Spirit and Soul Island, is evolving. Although one thing I know for sure is I will always work spirits. I will always work crystals. You know what I mean? That crystals will always be part of that journey. It's a strange evolution, and sometimes they don't tell you. I mean, the other night I had the whole team up there kicking off at me. That was a weird experience. You know, and I'm like, oh my God, right, I've got to go and deal with this. I can't deal with anybody else. I've got to go and deal with this. And, you know, I had to literally shut down my life, as it were, my day-to-day life and people in my life. No, can't deal with you guys now. I've got more important things to be dealing with. And had to go and deal with them. Now, yes, people could say that's a psychologist would go, well, that's a little weird. But some of the things I've had through meditation when I've been working on a specific project, project, rather, when I've researched it after I've done the work, have been quite a willow. Do you know what I mean? That's I did not know that. I know. I research a hell of a lot. Yeah. I know I do. Yeah. I know a little about a lot of things. But there are certain things that come out in workings that I go, I know I didn't know that. Yeah. I know I've not read about that. That's taken me down a whole different avenue. You know what I mean? And it's interesting. I find the whole topic interesting, whether you work spiritually, scientifically, you know, whatever way you work. Psychologically. I find the whole field completely fascinating. And I love what we do. I love what we do. Yeah. You know, when we have after show, hence why we're doing the after show parties and stuff like that. You know, those discussions, how much information comes out in those after show parties.
And people don't know about it because we sit here and we discuss things
Yeah.
till the wee small hours.
We saw now, it's like 3, 4 a.m. some nights.
And
Make it all up as we go along.
Conversations evolve.
Come up with some really good theories, though.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about some bonkers theories, but then we talk, what comes out of that, it's almost like a brainstorming session.
It is, yeah.
Anyway, guys.
And we've all got different backgrounds in the paranormal anyway, so we're just collaborating what we know and coming out with new stuff.
But do you know what? Yeah. I think that's so important that everybody should be putting in everything they know together to help us all work better. Do you know what I mean?
But sadly you get the odd one or two that think they're better than anyone else and they do everything.
Yeah, that's
called ego
and fame.
No. That's the point, though. It's those no disrespect, but do your thing. Go do your thing. Don't involve me. I know what I'm doing. I'm interested in collaboration. I'm interested in brainstorming. I'm interested in discussion, not ego. And that's the difference.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in investigation, and I'm interested in how you do things and why you do the things you do. And, we always go back to the why.
Yeah, we always
why. Why do you think that works? What's your belief system behind that? Because those thought patterns are quite integral in the results that you're getting, believe it or not. So, when we talk about Parasearch and we talk about bridging the gap, it's about bringing those kind of thoughts together, which is why I feel it's important to talk to people from the academics and the scientists and the ghost investigation teams and people that have been in the field. I mean,
people working spiritually, people who are working psychologically.
Exactly.
You've got to bring them all together to get the bigger picture.
But open-minded people in their own field.
Yeah.
So they can go, okay, I take that concept. In my perspective, we would look at it like this. And sometimes all it does is condense it down to terminology. Mm-hmm. And when you start condensing it down to a terminology, but the concept is the same, regardless from what perspective you're looking at it from, it becomes a perception, but we start getting to the integral part of that. That's why I love doing the radio shows. That's why I love doing, listening to the various people we have on. Because out of every single person we've had on, something will come out, whether or not that's the smallest thing or the biggest thing. It becomes so important. And that's why I feel Parasearch is great for that, because we cover so many different areas. But when you distill it down, it actually is really quite integral and builds a bigger picture.
But there you go. I mean, people... Like, we were talking about images. Do you remember talking about images? And the perceptions we have in our head. Kerry is never, ever, ever going to look at Florida the same way again.
No, Florida, my God. Yeah, men at image. I was like, it's Disney and Mickey Mouse ears. And,
and like, we came away from that show and we kind of went, oh my God.
Wow. It's our freaky Florida. We now call it freaky Florida. If we ever went on holiday to Florida, that would not be a Disney theme park kind of holiday. It would be a completely different ballgame.
It's actually quite a dark place.
It's very dark. It's got very dark undertones as Florida.
I can imagine.
We didn't know.
No. Didn't have a clue till Kaz did the show with Mark.
We do now.
Yeah.
But we do now. And that's what I love about this.
Yeah. Yeah, the information you're getting.
Yeah. I mean, I go on holiday with my kids, and 9 times out of 10, I'm not looking at I know I should be because I've got the kids.
Yeah.
The fun things for the kids to do. 9 times out of 10, I'm there going, oh, where's the local ghost hunters and where's the local, ghost walks, and let's find out the historic history of it. And exactly. You do that, don't you? Sure, that's normal.
Yeah. You've got to, though. I mean, even when I go away, I go with a couple of friends and they've got kids, and we try and cater the holiday to be kids friendly.
Yeah.
But we insist on one day being adults only. So what we want to do as opposed to the kids.
Yeah.
And we'll go to castles and museums.
But I take my kids to those places. I mean, I have to say, I'm going back to the Isle of Wight this year because I love it. And I think it's fantastic for the kids. Do you know what I mean? There's so much to do on the Isle of Wight. So I'm actually taking the kids back to the Isle of Wight this year. on holiday. But while I was there, I mean, where we stay is literally in the shadow of Carisbrooke Castle. I'm not taking them to the Carisbrooke Castle going, oh, look, it's a great ruin. I'm going, did you know that King Charles II stayed here and got, escaped, and then he got put back in? And, I'm telling them, like, the darker history of it. And they're like, oh, that's awesome. And if you stand in this spot. And I actually, at one point, we was at quite a high point in the castle, not the highest. We weren't on the keep because that's scary. But that's a height personal phobia thing going on there. Like, Leo, stay away from the edge. Leo, don't climb on that. There's a big fall on the other side. That's a personal, oh my God, moment. But like, I had my rider and my son, my eldest son, and I just stood him in one place. I went, right, where are you drawn to? And I'm like tuning in, and he's tuning in, and it was so phenomenal seeing him start to work in that way. And it was amazing what he was coming out with. And I'm like, like when you get a proud mummy moment. Not because they've drawn a lovely picture or because they've, they've taken part in an event. I'm just sitting there going, oh, medium, ghost hunter in the making. You know what I mean? Paranormal research in the making. And he'll go away and he'll come out with right little tidbits of information. Mum, I read this article. Have a look at this one. And I just find that whole thing, because that's how we are as a family. I mean, they see things come in the house that I'm working with and, stuff like that. So that's the link. And I just love that side of it. And that filters down. So when we're on holiday, it's like, oh, Mum, did you feel that? Like, no, what did you feel? You know what I mean? And stuff like that. It's like, oh, wow. And, I mean, when I was young, I remember going to the Isle of Wight when I was probably 9 or 10. It's going back a lot of years. Too many. And I had, we went to a place called Allerton Manor. That's on the Isle of Wight. And I knew that place inside out. And I can't tell you how. And even to this day, it's one of those places where I'm like, those experiences from a child where you look back and you go, was I just, was it a flight of fancy? Did I really feel that? Well, when I went back last year, I had the same feeling. And it took me back to when I was a child, that feeling to when I was a child. Now, I want to go back again to re-experience that. Now, I'll work that differently now. Because the first time going back, I had the experience as a child, went back, had the same feelings. This time, I will explore that more if I get the chance, depending on circumstance. So there's something going on there. Now, that could be a past life link that I don't know about. That I've not explored. I don't know. I mean, as I say, it needs further explanation before I come to a conclusion. But, little things like that. But the kids are involved with that, and I think that's awesome.
Well, a couple of years ago, our staff suggested doing a family paranormal event just with the staff and their children, because all their children all wanted to know what they were doing when they left them. They were like, "Are you going on a ghost hunt? That's going to be so cool. Let's go." So we done a family event. And we said, you're responsible for your own children. We're taking no responsibility for them whatsoever.
Fair enough.
At your own risk, sort of thing, And I think out of all of them that came, only 2 of them really enjoyed it. There was, and it just happened to be Tara's kids, actually. One of them, Conrad. They're both my godsons as well. So, but I've been with them since day one of their lives, and the youngest one, he's very much like a docker. He swears like a trooper, and he's well-hard, and you don't need no one looking after him. He's one of those type of kids. And we went down into one of the tunnels, and he did not let my hand go. He was so scared.
But I have to say, my kids think I'm so cool for what I do.
Yeah.
I love that. People are scared of me in the playground. I love that.
But the godsons do, and they think it's absolutely amazing. Although they've done the investigation, and they've actually experienced things they can't explain, and they think it's so fantastic. They've heard voices that have come from nowhere, and they're scared out of their little minds. They want to do it again. They're always bugging me. Every event we go on, can we come? Not
this one. No, not this one. But they love it, don't they? Anyway, guys, we are still live. We have been going for over an hour and a half, believe it or not.
Oh my
God. Time we wrapped this up. Thank you for listening to us rambling on the Friday night pop-up show. So don't forget, check out tomorrow night's show, 9 p.m. is Dr. T. Palmer in the studio on the Spirit Dimension. Monday. Sunday. I'm already on Saturday. I've already done
You're
Saturday.
already on Saturday.
Jesus. No, Sunday. Thank you, Cass. Sunday, Dr. T. Palmer, 9 p.m. Tomorrow, we're actually having a night off, I feel.
Yay.
I'm giving them a night off for a change. And Monday, I will be going live on the Parasearch group page on Facebook, giving you a roundup of all the shows that happened, or going to happen, should I say. Coming up on Parasearch Radio. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel and click like, subscribe, comment, share, do all that shit. And on that note...
you swore.
Oh, you did it earlier. It's Friday night.
There's people swearing.
I know.
It's disgusting, isn't it?
I know, disgusting. Just as well it's marked as explicit. On that note, thank you so much. We bid you a very farewell. And good night. Have a great weekend, guys. Good night. Say good night, guys.
Everyone.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.